share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with recipe share. Recipe share, recipe share. Share a little recipe with recipe share.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Recipe Share, a program on AADL TV, where we take a few minutes to talk about recipes in a featured category. Today's category is Bountiful Breakfasts. I'm Beth, and I'm joined by Katie and Elizabeth to tell us about the recipes. So, Elizabeth, tell us about yours.
Okay, I will. This was a fun one. I kind of poked around a little on the internet for ideas, but then ended up kind of combining some things to just make my own.
Nice.
So basically what I made is a root vegetable breakfast hash. I have been getting a lot of root veggies in my fall CSA. So basically, and I wanted to use them up. And so this was really yummy. I went out and I bought some sausage and I bought some smoked cheddar, and then I had eggs. And then in my CSA, I had gotten potatoes, carrots, turnips, spinach, and some squash. So I basically just chopped up all the root veggies and put them in a big skillet with some olive oil, salt, and pepper, and just like let them get nice and kind of caramelized, which was very good. In a separate skillet, I cooked up the sausage that I just kind of crumbled. Then I threw the spinach in with the veggies, added the sausage in, tossed everything up. I grated the smoked cheddar, and then kind of like when I served it, just put that like on top. Although I think next time I would have just mixed it in, but I just like didn't really want to like put the cheese in the skillet because I don't feel like it's like hard to clean. So I was just kind of being lazy there. And then I fried up eggs. So it was like a nice bowl of the veggies and sausage, then the smoked cheddar that was shredded on top, and then a fried egg. I think it could have used, I did like throw some red pepper flakes on there for a little bit of spice. But I think like probably I'm not a big hot sauce person, so I don't usually like have it. I don't think of it, but I think if you are, like a drizzle of that would have been very good. But it was really yummy, and it was a really good way to use up some of those veggies, and it was kind of hearty. And especially this time of year when it's like a chilly weekend morning, I liked it. And I actually had some leftovers, and I basically ate it again for lunch, like for the next day. So that worked out too. And yeah, it was really good. And not much else to say, but it was yummy.
Yeah, there's not much else better than hash for breakfast. That's my personal opinion. So that sounds amazing, especially with the smoked cheddar on it. And I love that you can do that with so many different kinds of veggies. You didn't just use the root vegetables, that use the spinach too, like with the sausage. Yeah, I'm sold. I could eat that, and I'm starving now. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very yummy and perfect on a morning like this one.
And I was gonna say, so versatile. You use bacon instead of sausage. You could leave it veg. You wouldn't have to have all those root veggies. It would probably even be fine with just potatoes. So I like recipes like that when you can kind of do what you have on hand. So
that's the beauty of hash too.
Hash. Yep. Okay, Katie, tell us about your breakfast.
Okay, so my recipe is pretty simple. This is for lemon garlic shrimp and grits. It's from the Food Network Kitchen. So shrimp and grits is like one of my favorite foods. I always order it when I see it at a restaurant. But that's usually for dinner, right? So I also like having it for breakfast occasionally, and then I kind of end up making it myself. This recipe looked a little bit different than how I normally made it, so I was excited to try it, this lemony garlic sort of version of shrimp and grits. So the first step is you make your grits is just basically like follow the directions on the package. So just use instant grits in this recipe. And then once your grits are cooked, you stir in Parmesan cheese and butter. And then you just remove that from the heat and cover it and let it sit while you cook your shrimp so that'll stay warm. You season your shrimp with salt and pepper, melt some butter in a large skillet, add your shrimp, and then they used a couple of cloves of garlic. I use considerably more, like twice the amount, because I like my shrimp to be very garlicky. And then optional cayenne, which I definitely added because I do like a little bit of spice, but it's just is not even enough that it's like overpowering. It just gives you a tiniest kick. And then you just toss your shrimp like for 3 or 4 minutes until they're cooked through and pink. And then you remove the skillet from the heat and you add in some water, lemon juice, and parsley, and you just stir that to coat, and it kind of makes this really nice sauce. I left the parsley like in pretty large pieces, and I thought it looked really pretty like that. I have a picture of it. And you just season it with salt and pepper. You could put some extra Parmesan on top if you wanted. But I just thought it was great. Oh, they served it with lemon wedges too, which is just like, it's so simple, but it's not something that I like. It's not the flavors that I usually make for myself when I make shrimp and grits. So it was a nice change and super easy and comforting on a cold weekend morning. And yeah, loved it. It's a good recipe.
I love shrimp and grits, but I definitely don't think of it as a breakfast recipe either. Like usually for me, it would be dinner, but like grits, I feel like are breakfast. It's traditionally, so of course it makes sense. And I'm like, yum, I want to wake up to that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I mean, just it sounds like, I'm not a huge breakfast eater anyway, so like that to me sounds like it would be a good little like brunch time.
There you go. Yeah, I'm the same way for sure.
Yeah, I just don't have an appetite till a little bit later in the morning.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're right. This is way more brunchy than breakfast, but that's just about as early as I eat. So that's what you get.
But yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it was really yummy. Beth, tell us about your bountiful breakfast, please. I know you're excited about this one.
I am excited, and I'm also a grits fan. And this one, you guys, this was a little complex. It was a grits crusted quiche, bacon quiche. So to have the grits as a crust was a really new thing for me. And this came from Southern Living. I was looking too for, some kind of breakfast, and that just caught my eye and it was right before I was going to South Carolina. So I knew I was going to get some grits down there too. Didn't see anything like this there, but anyway, so you start with you cook bacon. I bake mine in the oven, and then use just a couple teaspoons of the drippings with 2 1/4 cups of milk and some butter, a couple tablespoons maybe. Bring that to a boil and then add a 1/2 cup of grits and whisk constantly for 15 minutes. Remove that, add a cup of cheddar cheese and let it stand for, let it cheddar cheese, and then let it cool for a bit, and then add an egg, and then you put it in. So here's where there was a little difference in it. The recipe called for using a springform pan, and I was fine to do that, but I also knew I was going to be making this for a breakfast or dinner for the toddler kiddos. So I used a 9x13, and a bunch of people in the notes were like, don't use that. There was a waste of, material ingredients because it spilled all over, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I did. I used the 9x13, and that worked out really well. You spread your grits in there and then let it sit. And then you make a custard with a bunch of, there's more milk, 1/2 and 1/2, 5 eggs. And I don't need to go. And there's one thing though that I admitted based on other people's notes too, which was they added heavy cream too. So I omitted that. It was still perfectly fine. It was still quite creamy. And you pour that in over the crust, and then you bake it for like an hour. And let's see, you sprinkle the bake. Oh, you put the bacon on before you put it in, and then you top it with green onions. I have a picture of them in slices, and it was really good. It was so good, you guys. I mean, yum. And it also made me think of, I mean, so many ways you can use a grits crust. And also you couldn't tell, you wouldn't know that it was grits, really. I mean, when we were eating it, you know, I mean, the kids didn't know, but my daughter didn't know either. It just tasted like a creamy cheesy quiche. So yummy. So that was a very bountiful breakfast for dinner.
What does the consistency, does the grits crust get like crusty at all or hard when you bake it?
Like,
Yes and no?
like I said, you know, as you were eating it, you wouldn't have been able to discern it. So it tasted like a crust, you know, because it's
Okay.
cheesy and hard. I can't even explain it now because it's been a few weeks. So
I'll look at your photo and see what it looks like.
yes, yeah, the photo you'll see is got that custardy top to it like a quiche does, and it's super creamy, and it was delicious. I almost wish I didn't share it with anyone else because we didn't have any leftovers, but no, we
So the
but yeah.
kids liked it? The kiddos
Oh
liked
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Cool. That's awesome.
yeah.
Bonus.
Totally. It made me think though about using even like sweet grits for a crust for something. I mean, and there is that back and forth of should grits be sweet or savory, and I tend to like most things savory anyway, but yeah, I would say it's a winner bountiful breakfast. Does anyone have anything else to share? Okay. All right. Well, I'll take us out then. Thank you for watching Recipe Share. Be sure to click the link below to look at the event page on aadl.org to find the recipes we talked about and share your own in the comments. Join us next time when we'll ask ourselves, will it skillet? And we look forward to seeing what you've been making. So thanks for sharing. Bye.
Recipe share, share a little recipe with recipe.